are these people?
DIA is this app that apparently Ukraine has had for years, since before COVID, which is a little interesting. That's the quote unquote everything app that, you know, I've talked about, that Elon Musk has said he's wanted to replicate. And so they had this huge show with Samantha Powers from USAID, talking this up, and the vice prime minister of Ukraine, talking up this application, basically trying to pitch it to venture capitalists, and like assuming US venture capitalists as well, like just kind of goes with that agenda. So I'm going to kind of go through this video and pick it apart. A couple things to keep in mind. I guess you pulled it up, but I guess we can start with 10 minutes. But basically, I want to start off this conversation. I've already said what I've said about Elon Musk and what I think he's doing with Twitter and X Corp. And like we've talked about how
we have a whole video on it.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot.
Totally for the world. He's totally for the World Economic Forum agenda, and has been the entire time.
So he's talked as wanting the Twitter to be the everything app, the WeChat app. So I just want to say, like, going into this, like, get into the mindset that, like, I kind of believe that, like, this is the direction that Elon Musk is going for. And when you look at his WEF CEO, he's like a WEF young global leader. Like, it's just kind of like all fits into that kind of overarching thing. And you'll see as we go through this. It's freaking Orwellian. It's freaking crazy. So I guess we can start about 10 minutes.
І це його серце, і воно б'ється з кожним вібро під час дзвінка або під час СМС, а в ньому наше українське
This video is from 2020.
держава
I just wanted to say this, like, video of Zelensky.
So dislikes disabled, no comments. It's unlisted.
Yeah, so you have to go through the USAID website to find it.
This is an unlisted. Okay.
So they don't want the Norwegians watching this.
Мільйони українців щоденно користуються.
They really don't want this hopping around the algorithm and people catching
Not at all. They recorded it for posterity, and that's about it. But yeah, this video is from. So what the Fedorov says, the vice prime minister says, is that they conceptualized it in 2019 and implemented it in 2020. Very ironic that they kind of made it live 2 weeks after the pandemic happened. I'll let you guys kind of like play with that. There's one point Kara Swisher kind of like says 2016. Fedorov's like, no, 2019. So if you want to like grab your tinfoil hat and explore whether they've been plotting something like this for almost 10 years, I don't know. But like, we know for sure that they've been using this app since 2020, which kind of like blew my mind when I figured that out. I was like, wow, so they've been doing this stuff for the last 3 years since pandemic started. They were like the test.
Well, we know from that COVID that EU COVID conference that COVID-19, or at least coronavirus, has been, you know, a human lab experiment for the past.
Yeah, but I didn't know that apps were getting this involved where they were already. It's just before the like freaking special military operation happened. Like,
the military gets everything first. You think we don't get it?
It's just crazy. It's crazy how it got. It's crazy that USAID was funding this like years before this was ever on my radar, and that like USAID is like 4 or 5 years ahead of the people who are like kind of, and like,
this is before,
being like, we need to like worry about this.
Russia?
This is 2020. This is 2020.
It says this was streamed 6 days ago.
This was streamed 6 days ago. The video that you're seeing with Zelensky, okay, that they posted up there, that he's talking, you see all the phones lined up. That video is from 2020. They like were trying to get everybody in Ukraine to download the app. One of the ads when they released it, it was like early 2020. So right when the pandemic started getting crazy. So they've been doing this stuff for a long time. Really crazy. So I guess
сервісом «Дія». Це більше 100 державних послуг без контакту з чиновниками, цифровий паспорт, відкриття рахунків, сплата штрафів, податків, отримання державної
допомоги,
коштів на допомогу армії.
Все це українська
Україна не випадково стала одним із глобальних лідерів в цифровізації публічних послуг і соціальних відносин. Це прямий наслідок того, на що ми здатні, сміливість і освіта, здатність боротися за свої інтереси і знайти найзручніший шлях. А шлях, щоб реалізувати інтереси, це те, що дозволяє нам перемагати. Росія намагалась зруйнувати нашу цифрову стійкість, але ми не дали цього зробити.
They definitely been using it. There's another video where they've been using it.
Дуже міцний. Ми побудували кібероборону країни. Ми продовжуємо розвивати державний сервіс «Дія». Цифрова країна – це не лише зручно.
Beginning of his presidential
Це країна, де бюрократія та корупція стануть нетиповим явищем. Це потужний економічний розвиток, бо частка цифрової економіки у світі швидко зростає. Україна – це простір цифровізації, який дає простоту, дає найголовніше прозорість будь-яким відносинам між людиною і державою, між компанією і державою. Це те, чого ви не знайдете сьогодні у більшості.
He's directly describing fascism.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. Because one of the things I wanted to say throughout this thing, especially once Samantha Power starts talking,
we want to combine the relationship between business and state. What happens when you create business and state together?
Fascism. It's a great example. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't really mention that, but like we should think about how like words, when it's like under this kind of like Orwellian regime, and when you see Samantha Powers talking, they have euphemisms. They don't mean what they mean. So when they talk about democracy, they're not talking about democracy. They're talking about fascism. When they're talking about convenience, they're not talking about convenience. They're talking about surveillance. So just like think about how if you're like a normie just watching this, you might think it's really cool and you can't wait to get your hands on it. And you hear Kara Swisher talk about how like awesome it is. But no, like it's just about controlling us. You know,
especially in Ukraine where you don't have much like information either.
It's just crazy. I think they said I'll find the notes, but like it's millions upon millions upon millions of people using it.
І держави – це те, чого ви не знайдете сьогодні у більшості країн світу. Те, що вчора звалося мрія, сьогодні називається дія. Отже, головне – мріяти і діяти. Все це ми робили і продовжуємо робити разом з вами. За підтримки великого американського народу. Завдяки USAID кожен цент вашої допомоги є максимально ефективним та прозорим. Ви не лише допомагаєте боронити нашу землю від кривавого агресора, а й реалізовувати нашу мрію, побудувати найбільш вільну та цифрову демократичну країну у центрі Європи. Демократія та технології переможе. Я радий вітати учасників Дія in DC у Вашингтоні і щиро дякую кожному і кожній з вас від імені вільного українського народу. Слава Україні!
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So let's just like think for a moment that it's like it's the fascists that want this shit. Like they're the ones promoting this stuff. Like really good. So
good morning, everybody.
Let's see. I guess we can listen to this.
To be here.
But I don't know if everybody should know who Samantha Powers is. She's the administrator of USAID, which is kind of like the soft power regime arm of the CIA. So like when she speaks, she's talking out both sides of her mouth. She uses word like let's just play it. Let's just play it so we can kind of hear. It's good to hear from the bell of the beast, these people who are working behind the scenes. DIA, like the USAID, is the go-between between the state apparatus and the public-private partnership. Okay,
USAID is like the big bad guy.
So
that's the guy
like
you're
when
really
you have governments going at each other and doing like war. You have organizations like USAID kind of going behind the scenes and kind of orchestrating these public-private partnerships to kind of implement this neoliberal kind of regime into these foreign countries. So she is a very, 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 very dangerous woman. Okay, imperialist to the core. It's just not imperialist with guns. It's imperialist with like American capital. So it's just like listening to this woman is always like kind of like looking into seeing how crazy how they kind of look at regime change in a different way.
President Zelensky and all of you for joining us. As you all know, government events are famous for being cool.
No, we can skip to 1530. Never mind. She's just gaslighting.
What did she just say?
She's trying to make it sound like, because it's a USAID event. It's a government
As we
event.
get
She's basically like, haha, like
our famous
normally.
Government events are famous for being cool. Oh, she's trying to be sarcastic.
Yeah, because it's a tech event. It's a government-sponsored tech event.
Let me boost the volume a little bit. And then 15.
of that work. But first, I want to give a few words of context
Yeah, we can listen
about
to it.
how DIA became the transformational platform that it is today and where it can go from here. Imagine, and for the Americans in this room, this will unfortunately sound like a fantasy. Imagine that nearly everything that you need from your government, you can get with simple taps on your phone or browser. Want to access your
Convenience.
passport to cross the border? You want to apply for a construction permit? You want to register a new baby or a new business? You can do all of that on DIA. Imagine eliminating the infinite lines under fluorescent lights in government offices, the stacks of paperwork that ask you the same questions that you have answered hundreds of times before, the endless waiting for documents to move through the bureaucratic machinery. The more that we reduce these headaches, the more we build that foundational trust that democratic governments are capable of meeting the needs of their people. Platforms like DIA also reduce opportunities for corruption, because having standardized
I bet they sure do.
processes
No.
and a visible, transparent record of fines that you pay as a citizen, fees that you have to pay, payments you get, all of that takes away opportunities for officials to skim off the top.
But that's
And
not what
digital
happens.
governance
So
Come
we
on,
actually,
this is
I actually have an
for-
article right there, like that's like, I think it's at the bottom. But no, we remember when the war, special military operations started, and we were sending over money. We remember that like 2/3 of it was getting stolen, like making it to its final destination. That we caught. I had an article pulled up where you have Ukrainian freaking apparatchiks, politicians trying to flee the country with sacks full of American currency. Like there's still plenty of corruption. But what you're going to start seeing now is, instead of the corruption going through the politicians directly, they're like skimming through this freaking, technocratic state where you have this public-private partnership. So the grift is coming from the private part of more of the private entities than through the government itself.
Yeah, this is like, for instance, like in America, the IRS doesn't go towards state officials. The IRS is mainly targeting the middle class, at least as of right now.
Right.
Um,
So it's
But-
so they try and say this idea that it'll come down on corruption. That's not really true. It just means that the grift is going to go in a different direction. Like, yes, Ukraine has a huge problem, but it's not going to go away. I have articles I could show you, but like there's still plenty of corruption there. There's been corruption since the war. People like you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen, but like
They're funneling the
people
money
are
to
selling
somewhere
people are selling
This is
freaking
all
weapons
weapons.
through third-party sites like Craigslist of the freaking selling weapons on Ukraine. Like they're not tampering corruption. They're just trying to
It's
make
money laundering.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. It's obvious money laundering, but the amount that we've given at this point.
But digital governance platform, that's the key word there.
platforms also help governments respond quickly to emerging crises, as the people of Ukraine have seen firsthand during the war. Over this past year, DIA has been a lifeline for the Ukrainian people, providing everything from cash payments for
first thing they say,
internally
cash
displaced
payments.
people to an easy way for people to report damage from Putin's missile strikes. So DIA has actually shown us what is possible in e-governance, shown all of us, all around the world. But it has also shown what it takes to get to this place. Because the fact is, when you're dealing with technology that is so fundamental to people's lives, the old Silicon Valley credo to move fast and break things just doesn't work. You can't accept security breaches when the data at risk is your passport. You can't accept bugs in the system when you are trying to register your newborn
Just
child.
wait, Dr. Nick Rivera. I haven't even
So a
showed you the
platform
snitch
like
app yet.
DIA relies on robust and secure digital public infrastructure, which we have been working with the Ukrainian government, USAID, and the Eurasia Foundation to build since the year 2016. We started this work on digitizing government back then as part of an anti-corruption push. We worked with Ukraine's government ministries
That's
to
probably
build
good. How far through it are you?
databases that could easily communicate.
1830.
Yeah, that's probably good. So just to kind of give you an idea of what she's saying. So it reduces corruption, which you already know is like not really what they're going for here because there's still plenty of corruption on the platform. But one of the phrases you're going to start seeing a lot, especially when they mention later in the video that there's other countries that are kind of adapting this platform, is like a digital governance platform. Okay. The other thing that they well, I guess we can get into that later, but that's oh yeah, one of the things worth noting.
We're seeing this already happen with FedNow, and
Right.
this is coming. Like I said, like we already said, in July, and this is all coming and wrapping together. And in my mind, and I haven't asked you about this yet, but personally, like I wanted to like connect the dots between
I think you might see the dots.
government default and the FedNow payments.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really think that like FedNow is really like the capitalist like last like escape, like emergency escape button. Like this is how they're trying to save.
It's another way they're trying to save it.
Yeah,
I say they're running.
Well, they know, like they're fully aware that like de-dollarization is happening, and that the dollar is going to crash, and the empire is going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
They're fully aware. They understand that, and I think that FedNow is a function of how elite establishments are.
I mean,
protecting themselves.
I think they're just trying to. I guess I haven't thought too much beyond that. I would say their motives are mainly.
I haven't thought about that either,
it's a little odd that the CEO of Cash App was like murdered right before that got announced. So that's a little fishy. Whether the government is just trying to get their hands, get rid of the middleman instead of having, which is also I'll mention, like one of the biggest like sponsors of this event, one of the biggest sponsors of freaking DIA is Visa. Okay. So it's worth noting that like payment processing is a huge element of that. That kind of goes back to what you were saying with like Xcore and like Elon Musk saying he wants people to be able to process payments on it. So again, like payment processing is a big deal of this. But we can probably go, let's see. Yeah, 19 minutes.
Already basically there.
Okay.
In the first place. Then, in 2019, President Zelensky and then Minister
2019
Fedorov laid out a vision to do something far more ambitious.
2019.
To
Tell me
create
it wasn't a puppet
the
since
state
the very
in a
beginning.
smartphone that you are about to see. I know I speak for myself and for so many of us at USAID
This is the video
when I say
about.
that it has been a true life privilege to have a role in supporting Ukraine in this effort, and to see the stunning impact of the platform, especially now when it matters most. So I want to thank those on our USAID teams at UKAID, at the Eurasia Foundation, and in the Ukrainian government who had the foresight to invest in Ukraine's digital transformation beginning 8 years ago. I want to thank the companies that made it possible for DIA to keep expanding its services. Companies like Google and Visa, the fantastic co-sponsors of this event. And
so she kind of let one like sneak out right there, because like Kara Swisher says it later too. She says 2016, and she said 8 years ago, which would have been 2016, right? 2015, 2016. So and Fed.
So 2016 would be when what?
So Euromaidan happened in 2014. Okay.
Right.
Trump was elected in 2016, 2017.
Right.
This would have happened.
He was giving weapons to Ukraine.
Yeah, but like I'm just saying that I get the impression based on what she just said right there and the fact that Swisher kind of like lets it out later in the interview that they've been planning this app for almost 10 years. And like, so they like Fedorov says later, he's like, no, 2019, it was conceptualized, but it's really relevant and really kind of suspicious that Zelensky was elected. And then within 6 months, people were able to download DIA. Okay. Tell me he wasn't a fucking puppet. Tell me that wasn't fucking planned. You know, like it just sounds.
He's been ever since Zelensky was elected. He's been a puppet. But
so I think that like they've been playing this stuff for a very long time, and there's a lot more here, and we're just like not prepared. It's bad. I really thought I was like on this shit, and it's like, damn, they've been working on this stuff for a long time. This is now just at the point where it can get into all of our faces and in our little hands. But yeah, I think there's the like state of the smartphone. I think there's a video that she played that plays with more Zelensky.
Oh, wait. I don't think she did yet.
Oh, then just go to okay. So you just keep playing it because at 2150 and what
Now,
yeah. So like I just love this line.
Ukraine is becoming famous for something else, a new product.
Ukraine is now a product. It's no longer a country.
Yep.
It no longer has its
look
own.
at this thing we can.
What happened to Ukraine's? What happened? Whatever happened to Ukraine citizens' like individual rights as citizens?
No.
They need Crimea and they need the Donbass because they'd have the right to self-determination, right? Or or are they a business? I don't.
Well, so Fedorov tries to position the app as something that's like making it easier for the citizens, but really it's about controlling the citizens. So, and the people in the audience are mainly people who are probably interested in like venture capital or maybe investing in Ukraine. So they're positioning it in a way to make it look appealing to like the freaking entrepreneurs and the bourgeoisie less than workers. So I think that's kind of deliberate. But yeah, there's the part about at 2150 is kind of interesting.
The Ministry of Digital Transformation is working to make DIA an open source digital public good that it will give to other countries so that they can build digital public infrastructure that serves their citizens.
Okay, so this is really crazy
governance like
Orwellian language that I kind of want to get into for a second.
From Ukraine's experience and adopting their own versions of DIA.
There you go. Okay, so she says a lot there. So one thing that's like really crazy to notice is that so USAID, which is supposed to be like kind of like a soft regime change arm of like the CIA and like the Pentagon, okay, helped Ukraine establish this new government organization, new government agency called the Ministry of Digital Transformation. So basically, USAID has got their hands in other countries telling them how to create this platform, this like state of governance, digital governments across these other nations.
There's e-governance in Estonia?
So yeah.
What is that?
So that's and
I don't know about that. Like, is that something?
So there's other countries that are adopting Zanzibar, Estonia. There's some others that are adopting DIA's platform and are going to put it out there. So it's
so Estonia not like running under an e-governance platform yet, or are they?
Well, and this is sort of the thing that she's talking about is as part of implementing this DIA app, governments have had to establish, Ukraine did, a Ministry of Digital Transformation. So you can assume that the U.S. is going to have some sort of Ministry of Digital Transformation that you don't know. I don't know what they'll call it. It'll probably be under the Department of Defense or something like that. But they'll have some overarching body that's going to be responsible for the language that and how they conduct business and how these apps operate. That being said, USAID is part of the U.S. government, so if they're telling other governments how to create that policy, you can bet that's going to be a policy that's going to be favorable to U.S. interests, right?
Did you read that? Did you read that like article about like creating like government policy through AI or something like just like having like an AI like leader or something like that. Wow, I mean that's like really what the end game is.
I mean, that's like the neo-reactionaries. Like, yeah, Peter Thiel, who wants an AI in his image and just wants to be a lord through AI. I think like I kind of have like a tinfoil hat theory where Jeff Bezos is kind of collecting data through freaking his like assistant, so that he can eventually create his own AI and make that AI like. I can go down the whole transhumanist hole, but I have a feeling that like people like Jeff Bezos would prefer that his company is under his command forever. If he can do that through a company, like through an AI in his image, then like he's going to do that. So I could see something crazy like that happening. Like, you imagine that if like Jeff Bezos AI was the CEO of Amazon. That's what I kind of see happening. That's part of the transhumanist agenda.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
In January of this year, I announced that USAID would support partner countries that are inspired by DIAA and want to accelerate their own digital transformation by developing and expanding their own e-government capabilities. What this looks like is naturally going to differ from country to country, but we are committed to helping our partners find ways to make progress on digital public infrastructure. I am thrilled that USAID will be working with Colombia, with Kosovo, and with Zambia, for starters.
Zambia,
to
okay.
And Kosovo, which we'll probably get into like a little bit later.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about that.
But you can see
like, now it's getting kind of hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you can see that there's other
collaborations
countries
on
U.S. is meddling in to create.
No,
kind of
they
this
already
platform.
have like other countries that are like running under like sort of like a technology based platform.
I think
I know some like South African countries do it. Forgot which ones.
It'll be interesting to see when. I mean, I think the FedNow thing is going to be kind of a linchpin. Once you see FedNow,
we're gonna have to see what happens in July. July is going to be really when it wraps everything up. I'm telling you now, but we'll go to 2420, right?
You go that one, or you can actually just go to 2750.
All right.
So this is the Ukraine ambassador to the U.S., and she's introducing a video. This is just kind of like a promo video of DIAA to get people to download it within Ukraine. So it's just weird that the Ministry of Digital Transformation was created 4 months after Zelensky became president. So like this was a plan way before Zelensky became president, and he was like scooped up into it.
Сьогодні ми робимо перший крок, але це великий крок. Презентуємо мобільний додаток «Дія».
I'm just like in the business of like graphic design, like I'm just like noticing how much like trendy like mainstream like tech shit that they're using right now to like really appeal to like, and even the music too. It's like all marketed and it's like, oh, like try this cool new government app.
It's cool.
It's this trendy new app. It's gonna be the new TikTok.
It's the super target consumer.
Ukrainians will have soon appreciated the benefits of. It is scary shit. Scary, like, million.
19 million Ukrainian. $9.2 million transactions, 19 million Ukrainians. Elon Musk wants Twitter to have 1 billion people on it. Okay, so just imagine like the amount of money that Elon Musk would make with a platform that had 1 billion people on it. So, a couple things that stick out to me with that video before Better Up comes on. But they were the first nation in Europe to introduce the digital ID, digital COVID certificate, and ostensibly like the digital passport. So that all sounds really, really cool. And like they talk a little bit about like the refugee crisis and stuff like that. Easy to like send people money. What happens if you're like doing your thing and all of a sudden you want to come back to Ukraine and oh no, like we saw a post that you posted on freaking social media and now you're freaking out.
It was too pro-Russian for us,
like now you can stay. Now you have nowhere to go. You know, so they can shut off, like they pitched as convenience, but at the end of the day, really what it is a way for them to control you. Like, yeah, it's really convenient for people who are like leaving a war-torn like country to be able to flee with just their phone and have money deposited into a phone like that. But at the same time, now you're having like the government completely track every move. Even when you're in another country, they're still tracking you. And then you just be like, you're no good anymore. Like up, revoked, good luck getting on a plane. Up, revoked, good luck getting a boat. Like you're not going anywhere. So then you become.
They did this with COVID already.
Yeah, well, you had the good argument is you saw the trucker protest a couple years ago in Canada.
Yeah, they just shut off your bank.
They just shut off people's banks,
that too.
And that's going to happen. Yeah. And there's a video. There's another video of Ukraine where they basically talk about what their goal is for 2030, which is interesting that 2030 keeps popping up. But they want to completely abandon paper currency by 2030. We were a little bit more pessimistic about that, but they say 2030.
And people really like underestimate, well, maybe not our circles, but like underestimate the how quite literal the fascistic aspects of Kiev are. They'll lock you up for like anything. Well, they'll lock you up for a lot, and they lock up kids too. Like there's no mercy with these like Eastern European.
Let's play a little bit of Fedorov's. So 3343. What's another thing to keep in mind is this guy's was it Vice Prime Minister.
We're not going to do
for Innovations, Development, Education, Science, and Technology, Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. Okay, so he's like the head of that Ministry of Digital Transformation. One of the things he kind of talks about is like how the app is supposed to get rid of bureaucracy. But what's ironic is that in order to get rid of bureaucracy, they had to create an entire ministry to accommodate getting rid of that bureaucracy. So they've just replaced it with something else. Right? And ostensibly that has like some of the public-private shit. Like you got a problem with your app. You're not able to freaking like get your home loan that you want through your app. Well, guess who you're talking to? You're talking to probably some private citizen in another country to get that, and they say, oh, we've eliminated bureaucracy, but what they've done is just outsource it to another country, you know?
Most of it is like, yeah, it's just
gross.
Outsourced to other companies. It's the government's not capable of doing this shit by themselves.
Hell no.
So, yeah.
We decomposed our mission into 4 goals: to transform 100% of government services into online,
oh my God.
to provide 95% of the population with quality access to fixed and mobile internet, to teach 6 million...
Like, at least Zelensky, like, when he talks English, it's like...
It's pretty, yeah, it's kind of rough.
Like rugged,
it's kind of rough.
We asked Congress to give us more money, and then, like, this guy, it's like...
Ukrainians' basic digital skills.
Basic digital skills.
Well, when he does the Q&A, he has an interpreter. He doesn't even... So this is all, like, prepared for him.
To increase the IT...
Oh,
TP
yeah.
up
I don't think
to
he can even really
10%.
speak
It was
English.
5% before the war. It was crucial for future achievements to find deputies who are capable of accomplishing these goals. We have taken another significant step to create a unique org board. We have implemented the position of CDTO.
You can go to
in every
3517, I guess.
ministry and every level
That's this
of
guy's
state
just like
institutions.
too annoying to listen to. But this guy's the
We
head of that
formed-
ministry, and he's just kind of going over the own bureaucracy that they created to get rid of bureaucracy, which is a joke. But there's some interesting statistics that come up in this video.
Who's ready for a fresh start? And those unafraid of starting over. We are creating a transparent state to make life easier. So the bakers can spend time filling pastry, not filling out papers. Askers can get any answer online. And neighbors can wake up at dawn, not to get in line, but simply to enjoy the sunrise. We are initiating changes to allow family businesses to grow and big startups to get.
Okay, so you are talking about the most, like, at least financially, the most corrupt country in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And
most
you're
corrupt.
saying that you're providing them with a government app with free access to all privacy of all of your citizens.
Look,
is the elimination of schemes seems a little bit like gaslighting.
I'm gonna send you.
I don't know about
I'm
you.
gonna send you. Pull up this. I'm gonna send this to you really quick. Pull up this Gateway Pundit article from last year. Okay, so they've had this app since 2020, and people like after the invasion, the special military operation started. Like Ukrainian officials were fleeing, like trying to flee the country and running away with sacks full of money, like millions upon millions of dollars. So the idea that there's like, oh, it's so transparent, no more corruption, just complete and utter lie. Complete and utter lie. And we don't even talk about how there's like the public-private partnership where you're just having these services that now the government is responsible for paying for these services, like Amazon Web Services or Google.org and all these other services. They pay for those services. You think Google is like paying them, like charging them fairly, or Amazon is charging them fairly? I think those services that this government now has to pay for, there's like a whole level of grift going through that now. So it's just, they're just changing the way in which that corruption kind of occurs to people. But you see all that freaking money, dude. That's crazy.
$28 million and 1.3
28
million euros on top of that. That's crazy.
So it's not
That's
even
your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen.
It's like you remember in Afghanistan, the way they would pay people for the reconstructions, they had like trash bags just full of money, just full of American currency. They would just pay people in American currency. So the idea that like
And they're
the
giving them
printed
pensions
money,
and healthcare too. We don't get that.
no, it's
They
crazy.
get like
And that's
we
like,
fund
and that's
social services to other countries too.
so, and that's actually speaks to kind of a bigger issue that's kind of about this like shock doctrine. That's also very interesting, is that after the war started, I can send you another article. After the war, whatever you want to call it, started in Ukraine in February 22, when it got escalated to that point. One of the first things that happened under the Zelensky regime is they repealed a lot of worker rights. So considering they're still under considered wartime at this point, I would assume, they still have the people picking them up off the streets, throwing them on the front lines, shit like that. Like, now is an opportunity for venture capitalists who want cheaper labor to say, ooh, Ukraine, they recently like made worker rights even worse, and they can work longer for less money. Oh, that's appealing to a capitalist. Like, so this is kind of shock doctrine at work. Now, if we knew like the app's been going on for years, you could see something like this happening is like maybe not totally related to just the war. And maybe they saw that there was an opportunity that was going to be generated by venture capital interest in seeing worker rights get eroded made them more inclined to do something crazy like this. So this is like shock doctrine at work. This is just crazy. You're going to see, like, I didn't even really get into all this stuff. This is just this video, but there's just the tech sector alone, you're kind of seeing this happening, especially, but like they're dismantling worker rights across the board. It's a very ugly situation for regular Ukrainian citizens. Fuck Nazis, but also we can feel bad for the citizens who just like wanted to wake up and work a normal fucking job. And like now they're having to deal with a war-torn country run by like ruthless oligarchs and like corrupt officials. Anyway. It's just like the corruption's still there.
So we understand that Ukraine is probably one of the, after all of the, especially after World War II, all the corruption that's taking place there. Now I'm trying to find this app that I had this on.
Oh, for the YouTube video?
Yeah.
Or the
here we go.
DIA?
I got it.
Get bigger, to empower people to believe in their dreams and stand up for their rights, to make lines shorter and life fuller, to make it convenient.
Digital health
whatever
care.
happens. DIA.
Whatever the hell that
I'm
means.
sitting here asking for healthcare. Period. They're getting digital healthcare.
But I mean, what do you even think? Do you think people are going to get, like, I don't even know what their situation is. Like, maybe they get socialized medicine, but do you think it would get better by having them have telemedicine? You think they're going to get better care?
It's already
through
happening.
telemedicine. I know, but the argument is that like they're, by eliminating the bureaucracy put it through the app, that they're providing a better service. And I would argue that telemedicine is a lesser service, and it's not as good as like
here's the
seeing the
thing:
person.
is that like usually whenever the government creates something, like
It gets
for
worse.
instance, like the Department of Labor, it's usually fucking terrible. So like they can't like really do anything effective, especially like make a website or an app. I mean, this is an outsourced to a third party company. I'm not necessarily sure how this is. I mean, the way that this is framed to me is that this is just another function of control for the Ukrainian government, which is already fascist enough. It's already pretty. And
that's another thing. So you bring up a good point. It's just like think about if they have like a health app, they can like see that your medical records and be like, oh, this person's flagged, better not sell them a gun, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, see, like, I don't know. It's having that kind of digital trace with your medicines is a total different ball game.
Ukrainian Public Services Online, putting your needs first.
DIA is one-stop shop for all electronic services. As of now, 19 million Ukrainians use DIA. 70% of all smartphones have DIA installed. During this time, we have launched 100 e-services and documents. We were inspired by the business cases more than government apps, and we oriented on new customer behaviors of our citizens. Our first revolutionary service was Passport. We became the first in the world to do it. Now you can travel around the country, get public and private services.
First one during COVID.
13 million Ukrainians have Passport in DIA. We launched a feature to share electronic documents, and this opened up new possibilities. For example, on average, 80,000 bank accounts open daily online with it. Let's watch the video.
In 2019, we initiated a new age, digital age. We created the world's first digital passport, a passport that's always on your smartphone, a passport that's impossible to forget, a passport that doesn't require a copy and notary sign on it. Confirming your identity takes just 2 clicks. Sharing a certified document, same thing, instantly. It just takes 2 clicks. Passport in DIA simplifies dozens of day-by-day situations.
Our second revolutionary service, DIA Signature, fundamental service of digital country. You can generate in your smartphone, unlike other countries.
God.
Your face biometric are compared with the biometric of the demographic register.
In China, right?
Well, so what he's talking about here?
Like your face.
So instead of having a notary public, what they're going to do is they're going to use your face, assuming someone's like kind of like what they have on the iPhone, to do like a digital signature. And they already do it. So yeah, the same thing that we see in China.
Well, like I guess like so that's like Face ID, right?
Yeah, I would assume it's probably
that's
a little bit more.
bad enough. I personally use Face ID.
I don't use that shit.
You don't? Are you already on an iPhone? No, you're not.
No, but I like it. But like, yeah, my understanding from these ads and stuff is that it's like a facial recognition feature that they use to authenticate stuff like notaries. Like that's crazy to me. Oh, you need like to do a home loan? Let's see your face. Like that's it. I don't know. That they seem to think that it's going to have less opportunity for fraud and corruption, but I don't know. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I don't know. I just think that it's sketchy, those kind of biometrics that are being available to do everyday things. You know, like what else can they attach that to?
It's getting worse and worse. I mean, Snapchat. And...
I mean, this is the same thing that I was saying with like the payment processing. That's all going to be done through biometrics. You know, you're not going to be able to send money without having like a GPS with your facial scan attached to it.
Oh, it already is. It already is
with
the iPhone. Before you buy an app, you have to use your face, or you type in your passcode. But either way.
So I mean, I would think that they'd be a little bit robust on a freaking government app, but I don't know. That just seems sketchy to me.
Oh, wow.
Could probably go to
time.
4350. What are you at now?
38.
Yeah, go to 4350. So I'm skipping over a part, but basically there was a moment where one of the incentives for people to download the app ostensibly was that they sent people money through the app for getting the COVID jabs in Ukraine. Okay, so they were kind of bribing people early on in the pandemic to download the app and get the jab. I figured that I didn't know about all that, but they were getting paid to freaking do it.
One component of the ecosystem.
This is all the crazy shit, by the way.
Other elements: DIA web portal, DIA education, DIA business, and DIA city. Within our educational goal, we have launched DIA education program. We shot mini series with popular Ukrainian.
That's so bad. That's
okay.
So
let's just talk about.
That's like, just indoctrination.
So education. What's interesting is who's the big supporter of the education element in it, and we can kind of skip over it. But the big one is Google.org. Okay, Google sent 50,000 Chromebooks to Ukrainian citizens so they could do e-learnings. Okay, so whether you're a refugee or whether you're at home, Google sent you Google Classroom material. They sent 50,000 Chromebooks to Ukrainians to do this stuff. So just kind of like extrapolate that on a larger scale. Like it's really not hard. Anybody who's ever used a Chromebook knows how shitty they are. Doesn't take much to think.
Dude. That's why they're like worth like $45 because you could.
They're so bad. But like that's what I mean.
It's
like I really could see the day where because they're so cheap that they give them out so easily, okay, that like they get written off all the time, that a government could subsidize Google so that they could send Chromebooks to every single citizen, okay, and just have you do learnings. I could see something like that happening. I've already had kind of like a thing in my head. The only way that the metaverse is going to work is if everybody has 3D goggles of some sort. Well, how are they going to get that in everybody's hands? That's going to be subsidized at some point. So like I see something like this happening.
So in my hometown in South Jersey, in my high school had like this transitioning period. It was between when I was like a freshman, like a sophomore and a junior, right? And so like they had like an entirely new, like brand new built school. This is like I guess it's like a rich area like divided by like a poor area, like mixed together because we only have one. We share the same zip code, so it's one high school. Um, it's like small space. But as soon as the new high school was built and everyone went to the new high school, we were given iPads for like learning. And you know what? That just turned into like people just playing games on their phone and like like world history too. And you know, like it's like really like their own faults. That's really a terrible implementation. Like we're already like it's already fucking crack. This technology shit. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally I like stuff like audiobooks. I mean, I think I can take things that like facilitate real life, like development in a way. But like, Jesus, like.
Well, I've said like the people.
Jose said like the first thing I do every day is like Twitter. It's like I can't do it anymore.
It's true. I get that.
Yeah,
I can relate to that a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, so Google is behind the education stuff. That's why it's notable, because you can see the public-private partnership stuff, the shock doctrine shit. Let's like turn everybody into e-learners. And we've been talking about this stuff, how they want everybody to just like do like learnings and work at home and live at home and do learnings at home, and trying like if you really go down that rabbit hole, like people have been talking about this stuff for years. So to see that like Google already was like sending people Chromebooks and doing that stuff through like a government app is a little shocking to me. I mean, yeah, like my ex's daughter got a Chromebook from school to do e-learnings during COVID. But like this is like a different scale. Obviously, it's a lot different for a couple school systems sending like computers to everybody, to like a company and a government sending Chromebooks to every citizen in the country. 50,000 anyway. That's a shitload.
Where's our healthcare? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I know. No, it's paying for these motherfuckers.
Stars, and we have been teaching the young and the old various digital skills. 1.5 million Ukrainians have accomplished different educational series. We would like to become the Netflix of education.
Hi. I saw a library announcement about a free computer literacy course, so I decided to improve my ability to use the national platform.
This is interesting. Okay, so only thing I want to draw attention to here is like you see where it says 67 to 90, like on the education.
Just like her rating.
Yeah. So what does that mean? That she like does enough programs and she gets points, and those points like go towards something? They don't talk about that.
Oh, maybe it's like a credit score. Maybe it's like a social credit.
I would think that it's more like a job credit score. Like it helps you like, oh, you have 90 credits, like you are eligible to like have these sort of jobs, or like you can show people that you have these sort of skills. Like, I don't know. It's just weird that they've kind of like have this like kind of gamified education element. Maybe it goes towards degrees, but it doesn't say a degree. It says digigram. Like, what's a digigram? Like
DIA, digital education.
Part of the marketing too is like use like these like vague like made up terms so that they can like manipulate, like can purposely confuse you into like different like kinds of currency and different times. Like,
yeah,
that's why like games like you see this a lot with like free games on like the App Store, where they'll have like a bunch of DLC, like, or like every game is like divided into like 5 different currencies, and you have to pay for like 3 of them. Some of them you earn through like just playing the game, and then it's all done to like purposely confuse you. And like I've talked to like a game developer about this.
It's true. I believe
it. That's a purposeful like element within game design in order to like just create these like made up currencies that you don't understand the true value of them.
Well, it's like I see on one of the things that bothers me, getting off topic a little bit, but one of the things that bothers me about TikTok is the addictive nature. Oh, it's not gambling because you're giving people hearts and cakes instead of like dollar signs. Like you see, like you buy people stuff, the way that they get stuff in TikTok is through like the gifts, and the gifts are different little things that like you seemingly take the dollar value away from it. It's not gambling anymore. It's just people freaking donating gifts to you, but the gifts have value. So I understand what you're saying, that they just kind of like substitute it for something else just to throw people off, make them think that they're not like really like wasting their money or gambling.
It's not real money. Like because they can't think they're not thinking that they're spending $5 USD. If they're really spending 25 crystals on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like they don't know
it's just 25 crystals.
They don't understand that 25 crystals equals 5 real life dollars. They think they can't like imagine, like a lot of people, they can't like normally, you know, I'm not saying that people are stupid, but you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like, psychologically in a subconscious way, they're influenced by that. But
Thanks to this, I obtained additional knowledge and new practical skills. Now I can easily pay my utilities online, order medicines, tickets, and other services if needed.
It was a video of Grandpa Polina from Vinnytsia, who took our courses.
All right, so go to
and
4710. This one's probably the craziest one.
Buy medicines in online pharmacies. The new era of digital country. Let's look together at the role of DIA and digitalization during the war.
When the world is falling apart, our main task is to protect the people. After the invasion, DIA acted reactively. We quickly introduced a new set of services vital in extreme situations. Evacuation Document combines all personal info in one digital doc and accelerates identification at checkpoints. EAID, financial support to sole proprietors to keep the economy going.
So that's PPP
War
loans
bonds,
or whatever.
aimed at rebuilding the liberated and soon-to-be deoccupied Ukrainian cities. State mortgage. Military, medics, teachers, and scientists can apply for the state mortgage right in the app. E-Enemy, a chatbot that helps any citizen safely transfer info about the location of Russian troops, names of collaborators, and enemy movements to the armed forces.
Crazy.
Numerous attacks of Russian army destroyed a number of TV towers. To provide Ukrainians with uninterrupted access to information, we launched DIA Radio and DIA TV, so that even under blackouts, millions could feel present. And added the
crazy. Bro, like this is like War Machine.
So for your war, we'll feed you all the propaganda straight from
exactly, and they say 10,000 people use it daily, like completely just gone, like brainwashed, like into their brain.
Oh my god.
The in-app army of drones game to help Ukrainians both distract and donate to the common purpose.
What the fuck? What? They have a drones game?
DIA TV, so that even under blackouts, millions could feel present. And added the in-app army of drones game to...
What the fuck? During a war?
Some donation game, but yeah, they can
to help Ukrainians both distract and donate to the common purpose.
I've seen the real videos.
Why?
Has the enemy launched cyber attacks on Ukraine? Of course they have, and they failed. Even when the world is falling apart, our main task is to protect the people. Together, we can build a stronger one.
So let's go back. Let's go to 50-50. Let's talk a little bit more. I want to skip this like propaganda bullshit.
Currently occupied. So he lost his home. In this photo, you can see him on the day he received a loan in May. He used it to get a 2-room apartment in
50-50?
Kyiv, where his wife and daughter of 12 years will wait, and just in a few clicks. Since the first days on invasion, DIA has become people's tools of reconnaissance. It's absolutely unique to use such an app for gathering data on the movement of the enemy troops and hardware.
So let's, okay,
Ukrainians
I don't think people really...
occupied territories.
Okay, so what he's saying, okay, is that people can snitch on each other within occupied territories. Okay, so the people standing up for their lives in Donbass, okay, the people who have been shelled on since 2014, since the Nazis freaking did Euromaidan, okay, they now know that somebody can just log into an app, somebody in Kiev can just be like, oh, there's somebody over here in Donbass, and get attacked. So this is a snitch app to snitch on people living within your own country. They try and like make it sound like it's occupied territories, like it's not your neighbor. But that's what they're saying. They're saying your fucking neighbor, like snitch on your neighbor. And you can obviously see how close it wouldn't take much for this to be adapted into a police snitch app. Oh, like SWAT your neighbor sort of thing. Like it really wouldn't take much. So you just see like as soon as this like special military operation started, like that's when all the freaking crazy apps came out. But you can see how this is an everything app. You can see how this one app does all these different services. You can see how somebody like Elon Musk might be interested in doing something like this. Something he's talked about at length about. But this is like the evil shit.
Yeah, they're just loving this. They're loving it.
Fucking crazy. Imagine hitting a button with a target on it and being like, I want this person dead. Like, how demented. How fucking crazy.
Photos and videos
shows off the
via DIAA. A 2-room apartment in Kyiv. Very creative nation. We even launched a special game where every Ukrainian can test their skills as a drone pilot. You log into DIAA, choose a drone,
I know, it's not
and
funny.
shoot at the tank, just like that.
This is insane. No
like
way.
How brainwashed are the poor people in
This
Ukraine?
is insane. This
is coming. This is coming.
To go for
multiple countries have already taken the API.
This is coming. No, this is 100% coming in the United States. 100%. You don't think this is not coming?
I'm making the connection that I think Elon Musk wants to be that guy.
Oh, he's gonna.
I think that Twitter wants to be this app, so I think people should be aware of that. Like, but I think there'll be competitors. Like Facebook might be a competitor, but that's kind of how I'm like viewing these social media platforms at this point. Like they're vying for something like this to be this. This is where the money's at.
Where you can buy. Oh my god.
Everything. This is what happens
in the
when
early
you have
days on the invasion,
WeChat
we provided
in a fucking
access
capitalist
to TV
countries.
and radio via DIAA because Russia cut off the occupied
While you're playing our propaganda video game, we'll feed you this propaganda radio with this propaganda TV, and it's all on the same propaganda app that you use for everyday purchases, like your phone, your groceries.
Now I wonder. You know, remember how you have like the conscription guys just like pulling people over out of their cars and just like throwing them on the front lines. I wonder if they can track people through the app. So like people would be like, oh shit, I should have left my phone at home, because like the conscription guys like, oh yeah, we tracked you through the app. Come with us. It's time to fucking go to the military. Like imagine if it's shit like that. I don't know. Like it doesn't like seem like that much of a leap for the government to be like, okay, the freaking war's on, we're now having conscription, and all of a sudden your phone can track you. Like next time you make a purchase, they know where you are. Like I don't know,
I still can't with the Army of Drones game training Ukrainian. Just
sad.
God.
Sad.
It's insane. That's just
stories. Turned out it was quite a good decision. Over 10,000 citizens listened to the radio on daily basis. 1 million citizens watched Eurovision Song Contest and over 1.2 million FIFA World Finals. Recently, we have also added CNN International, so Ukrainians can stay turned with foreign news. I also use it to improve my English, sorry. A special project for me. Let's circle back to cybersecurity. There is a
so you can probably go to 5830.
However, services
just want to show some of these services that we can
the construction case.
maybe not look forward to.
For decades, Ukrainians had to deal with corruption that permeated state institutions. DIAA set out to fix that. In 2 first years, DIAA saved 16.3 billion of state budget and 20.5 thousand man-hours of time. In social and business spheres, we synchronized different systems and automated their work, thus making corrupt practices impossible.
Or making it easier. Really?
Introduced the Unified Information System for the social sphere, which is expected to save more than 30 billion of Ukrainian hryvnias. We digitized e-sick leave to lower doctors' workload and prevent forging
the music makes it so much worse.
This kind of documents.
I know, but this is interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of fucked. So they incorporated sick leave. Now I don't know how sick leave works
We launched
in
e-sick
Ukraine.
leave in 2021. Prior, there were many attempts to reform this sphere, more than 10 years, but no luck. This is one of the most popular inquiry.
This is Black Mirror in real life. This is where it comes.
But what's funny to me about the like incorporating sick leave into it is that we know that some of the biggest thieves are the employers, not the employees. So there's no app in there to be like, oh, like I'm not getting paid appropriately for my time. But there is an app out there to make sure to reject your sick leave, or to be like, you know what, like we know we said 7 days, but we're pulling you back after 3. Like they'll be able to do stuff. They want to pitch it as convenient until it's not convenient for the government anymore, and then it's going to be really bad. So like, yeah, you can apply for your sick leave until like we call you and say we don't want you to have it anymore. Like, so, and then I guess the other kind of interesting thing that they position is they say that they save money by using the sick leave app, which begs the question that they were either, you know, as they try and pride themselves on getting rid of bureaucracy, they're still telling an awful lot of people no on their sick leave if they're saving $4 billion. So does that tell you that they're saving money because they're getting rid of fraud, or does it tell you that they're just making it harder for people to get sick leave? It's not very clear to me. And I'm more of like a cynical type to think that the government just doesn't want people to be on sick leave and would rather tell them no all the time. So is that. And then I guess 102 is kind of interesting. Now we're in.
Automated, and money is totally targeted so that people can spend it only on reconstruction purposes. This is how it works.
So they can.
In the end of my presentation, I would like to say a few more things. First of all, Administrator Samantha Power and USAID team, thank you for making this event possible.
What's the time you're
at? Not
at?
only for this.
103.
Thank you for believing in me and my team.
Okay.
USAID and
So,
US taxpayers
Go to 105.
became.
Yeah, you can go to 105.
And
It's just
other
I already
countries.
talked a little bit about it, but
You help
they do mention
create
that Visa
opportunities for
and Google are the
Ukrainians,
biggest, some of the
promote
biggest funders of this
equity,
shit.
and even save lives. Also, I would like to address business. Ukraine is now the best testing ground for technologies. Start working with us.
So this is the
We
sales
will get
pitch.
invaluable joint experience. Visa. Visa became one of the first companies with which the Ministry of Digital Transformation began to cooperate since its creation in
Why is
2018.
Visa helping
Visa supports the
create
development
a
of the
state-funded
DIAA business
organization?
network of entrepreneur support centers, which we started development since 2020. I also would like to say thank you to the entire team of Google and Google.org for their firm position and support for Ukraine during the war. The cooperation contribution to our victory invaluable. Google supported us on the cyber front, handed over 50,000 Chromebooks for teachers, provided free use of Google Workspace services for civil servants, and support for DIAA education. Thank you, our priceless partners.
We paid for it. Get to 107. It's an ad.
And the thing is disruptive ideas. I welcome you all to join projects you will watch next, so we can create the successful mutual future together.
Громадяни України, сьогодні вранці президент Путін оголосив проведення спеціальної військової операції на Донбасі. Росія здійснила удари по нашій військовій інфраструктурі.
Let's look 8 years ahead. 2030. The history of the new Ukraine is studied all over the globe. Why? Because Ukraine became the most digital and convenient country in the world. Scripts have replaced bureaucrats. 500,000 former public servants are successfully integrated in the new economy. No more red tape, but paperless. No more banknotes, but cashless. Yes, we became the first country
We all love cashless societies here.
Yeah.
to abandon paper money. Ukraine now has the most affordable e-residency.
You think that's coming here? This
E-residency.
sounds like a great plan for the United States to ban paper money.
Thanks to Ukrainian engineers and programmers, the R&D centers of the world's top technology companies operate successfully, and Ukraine ranks first in the world by the number of startups per capita. Ukrainian courts are guided by artificial intelligence, and all notarial
Works
acts
with AI.
That's concerning. That's pretty concerning.
That should be very alarming. Just courts making up shit.
That's the shit that I mean by like having like an AI president.
Well, I showed you the other day. Like I saw a thing, like totally separate subject, but like courts with AI. So we saw a thing the other day. ChatGPT. This lawyer apparently was looking up, like trying to like get some extra info on a case, and use ChatGPT. And ChatGPT made up cases, and now that lawyer is in trouble with the judge for submitting like a case file with fraudulent cases in it. ChatGPT just made up cases. So the idea that like an AI court, like, come on, if it wants to make shit up, like, and like all you got is a phone telling you yes or no, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, ChatGPT is too into role playing right now.
take place online. Ukrainian customs is fully automatic and the fastest in the world. Customs clearance and car registration can now be done in 3 clicks from your smartphone. Because of war and internal migration, we have built the most flexible and modern digital education.
Right now.
Brave military and civilians get quality treatment with modern remote monitoring and e-health systems. Ukraine also has the most effective cyber defense in the world. After the horrors of 2022, Ukraine focused on security systems. Now every production facility has its air defense system, and the sleep of Ukrainians is protected by an ultra-modern Iron Dome. The Ukrainian government is digital, more like an IT company in terms of the efficiency
They're gonna get their Iron Dome?
Dude, like that's fucking crazy. So
and
they're gonna get their
e-health
own
systems.
Iron Dome.
Ukraine also
They
has
want
the
one
most
by
focused on
2030.
security systems. Now every production facility has its air defense system, and the sleep of Ukrainians is protected by an
Are you serious? Where's our Iron Dome?
Yeah, like what? I mean, that's
What the hell?
apparently they need it more than we do.
ultra-modern Iron Dome.
2030 dystopia is they want to.
I mean, apparently we're getting attacked by Russia and China with air balloons simultaneously. So
Wild. So they're like what? They like trying to play the victim card. They think that they're like so going to be so prone. So they think that they're going to be such a rump state and so prone to attack because all that's going to be left of Ukraine by the time this operation is all over is just fucking a bunch of Nazis. It's just going to be a bunch of shitty people living in not. So they're going to need an Iron Dome to protect them because everybody else is going to want to fucking erase them off the map all the time. Like these poor Nazis. It's like, man, it's never the like. I don't want to say it. I don't want this. Never mind. It's just when you see an Iron Dome go up, it's usually not going to like the nicest people. You want that, you know?
The Ukrainian government is digital, more like an IT company in terms of the efficiency of implementing decisions, and one can register a land plot, start construction, open a business, or get a license.
this is a good question. I just want to like, how does this do against hypersonics? Because I was actually talking to India a little bit about this the other day about the Russian hypersonic missiles.
I would think. Well, I know that the hypersonics we talked about the
wasn't
hypersonic
an airbase, but like
gets through Patriot systems, and I don't know if Iron Dome. I don't know enough.
Talk to Scott Ritter about that. That'd be good.
But I would think that the Kinzhal missiles could get through fucking Iron Dome setup.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, Kindles
like they sent like 3 and it took out an entire like Patriot missile thing. So
there's
like,
not much that they can do with the Kindles.
and like they have also like that like hopping one. Like, have you seen the different stuff that Russia has? They have all sorts of shit that would fuck up Iron Dome.
I haven't seen
They have one that like a rocket goes off and then it splits off and then that splits off and then that splits off. So it just like freaking completely like decimates an entire area.
That's insane.
It's like freaking Iron
Yeah,
Man shit.
we just roll through it like minute, but Ukraine is winning. Just keep believing that.
And register a car or real estate from a smartphone automatically in one click. Ukraine is the freest and digital. This is all because international partners and the world's leading technology companies supported the Digital for Freedom initiative and united to help Ukraine recover through digitalization. Building a new Ukraine together, free and the fastest, brave and digital.
All right. I want to wrap up a little bit.
That's all.
There's one more thing that I want to go to 114. I'll go at 114, then I'll just kind of wrap up everything. I think let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to connect it to the Whitney Webb thing, or is that?
I'll do
Now
more of that
pleased to
later. We've
present-
already been talking about this topic for probably about an hour or so.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to come back to this because I think like this stuff kind of like is like interesting to me. And I'm just saying that like
it's important.
once they're like now that it's in DC, now it's in our background, now that we're seeing shock doctrine taking place and like the venture capitalists are being appealed to by all these representatives in Ukraine, like we're just going to see it accelerated at a crazy pace. So I know I'm going to keep up with it. There's going to be plenty of more stuff to talk about. I was looking at more stuff, but like it's just I could go on for hours about this stuff. But this guy, I think this guy's Vice, like he's one of the VPs of freaking Visa. But yeah,
Ambassador
114.40, I guess.
Who is the chairman of the Eurasia Group. Thank you.
Eurasia Group's crazy. I'm not going to get into it tonight, but Eurasia Group is crazy.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Pamela Spratlin, and as you've heard, I'm here to represent the Eurasia
First
Foundation.
Of all, isn't it wild they got an
like
old
say,
black lady
I'm
to say thank you
impressed
so
by
much.
What digital
Thank you so much,
transformation means,
Nazis,
even in
for
this
hosting
room.
this
Warner
event.
Theater is a very old, wonderful theater
Awful.
in Washington, D.C., and the colors of the
Perfect,
Ukrainian
like
flag
Michelle Obama.
are up here. I don't know if the
so
audience can
gross.
see them, but it was just a nice touch, and it's wonderful to see. It's a real privilege to be here. Let me add my own deep admiration for the Ukrainian people and all they are going through right now and how they are weathering this terrible attack and all they are doing to face forward and think about the future. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, also for your introduction. I just want to say a few words about partnership because the Eurasia Foundation has been a partner of Ukraine in so much of what we have heard
Let's go to
about
114
today.
or
Eurasia
I guess
Foundation
so.
is a nonprofit international development organization
Oh, yeah.
dedicated to the idea that societies function best when people take responsibility for their own civic and economic prosperity.
All right,
We
so
envision
we
a
can pause
future
it here.
where all
I don't want to
people
listen to this lady anymore.
can
This is kind of dragging on. But one thing, like she says, okay, nonprofit international development organization dedicated to the idea that societies function best when people take responsibility for their civic and economic responsibility, okay? So I kind of want to paint the picture that I think the Eurasia Foundation is kind of like the go-between between USAID and Ukraine, okay? So, like, there's more to it here. I've already seen board members be both associated with USAID and Eurasia Foundation and this DIAA. But I just kind of want to tie together that, like, this is a cutout. This is probably a cutout. And this is how USAID is funding money directly to Ukraine to implement these kind of crazy strategies. And this is kind of how it works when we are developing in other countries. It's not like USAID is just giving money to these other countries. They use other NGOs like the Eurasia Foundation to kind of funnel money through so they have their own agenda. And they can be like, well, the government's not directly interfering, but that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's always like just fronts.
But yeah, she actually says in that speech, she says like, so the Eurasia Foundation is responsible for building, okay, the Kiev School of Economics. Okay, that's freaking crazy. Okay, that's like the freaking neoliberals in Chicago. It's like the worst people of the worst coming up with these policies that make it okay for Ukraine to get completely like decimated by these capitalists in the middle of a war. But anyway, yeah, I'm kind of over listening to this lady anymore. I just think it's kind of funny. But coming to a country near us very soon, we already see that, what was it, Estonia, Zanzibar, and Ethiopia are adapting the app. I think it's fair to say that
the connection. I guess like the only connection we can really make right now is just a speculation on Elon Musk's X app.
Like it's literally.
I mean, it's almost like a parallel, right? It's like pretty much the same exact thing, or at least it serves the same purpose.
I would say like they're saying very explicitly it's an everything app. What has Musk said? Everything app. You know, I think the fact that Visa is sponsoring this, meaning that Visa is very, very, very like into the technology. Visa is going to continue supporting something like
digital
this.
payments. Yeah.
Digital payments. You have Fed now around the corner, coming out in 2 months. So I think, like, you know, we've already said that we think Fed now is going to be on the Twitter platform within a few months. If that's the case, like, what? I just think it's just going to snowball itself. Like, I don't know. I see
over
like
time they'll find.
It's interesting because I see things like you look at Facebook, and obviously if you're trying to find an apartment using Facebook as opposed to Twitter, it might be a little bit easier because you got like the marketplace thing. So I would see Twitter adapting and incorporating some sort of marketplace thing down the line. They're going to try and incorporate more things to make this more viable for us, but I do think that Musk kind of wants to make the DIA app for Americans. You know, think about how much money he's
Basically, what
getting.
it is. Do you know which tech entrepreneur is behind this company, DIA? We should probably do it.
I just know that Fedorov is the. Look more into it. I just know that Fedorov is the minister running that shit.
We can always like put together like Substack articles too, and kind of like put the pieces together, like kind of like just like I don't know. That's just speculation.
I mean, at this point, we can see that. So when they started, they had like 30 applications within it. Now they have over 100 services in it. So over time, since the dispute between Ukraine and Russia, there's been more services added. So it's going to be one of those things where it's not like the Everything app needs to come out with everything all at once. They can come out with 10 things and call it the Everything app.
It'll be gradual. It'll be like gradual acceptance.
Next year it's 20 things. Next year it's 50 things, and eventually like using that app for everything.
Right.
So I could see something like that happening, and I think the payment processing is going to be like the beginning. If we see Fed now go to Twitter, then like I would think this sort of stuff is like right behind it. You know, because
that makes sense.
Fucking Visa gets a little bit of money off the top for every single traffic.
Oh, and Google too. They're loving it.
You know, like the education thing is very scary too. Like imagine the state, like you getting issued a Chromebook by the state to run education at home. Like that just sounds crazy to me. That just sounds crazy, but I think it's a scary time. And like the first thing that scared me was that they've been doing this stuff for years. They've been doing this since 2020. It's not like they did it like 6 months ago. So
in development for even longer too.
Yeah, they say 2060 forever. So we're way behind the ball on this one.
Yeah. Now you can get an e-abortion. I'm just dying.
Yeah.